do this. Let's get it cracking. Epic. Well, I won't call it too epic. I don't even think it's gotten started. But the portal's open. So that's going to be the main focus here. But before we get started, good evening, Florida State family, Seminole Nation, and the 863 tribe. You know who I am. You know where you're at. And I'm going to let you guys... we're going to start the show off with what everybody wants to talk about. I mean, we're going to talk portal because that is going to be the main focus here. But I'm going to let you guys talk about... because I've only done videos on it, right? I've done 2 videos on the college football playoff, and I want y'all to get in here, and I want y'all to let me know how you feel. I want y'all to get in here in the comment section and express your grievances or your thoughts or whatever the case. I don't have too much to say on it, but I know y'all want a place to vent. If you haven't vented already, I know that's what we want, right? We want a place to come in here and curse. So get in the comments and do it. I'm giving you your opportunity, and I'll read them, and I'll give my input. But I pretty much said what I had to say on it, man. And but the transfer portal is live, and FSU has some guys already, and so we definitely gonna talk about that, and maybe some potential targets for Florida State in the portal. So I don't want to miss out on the portal at all, because that's the 2 biggest stories in the entire sport right now is the snub and the portal. Those are the 2 big things. So all of them are FSU related. So that's what we finna hit on. So before we get started, as always, man, y'all hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and share that video. And we'll do a roll call, and I'm gonna let y'all go for it. I'm literally gonna let y'all go for it, man. If you want to know my thoughts on it, again, I will give a few of my thoughts here tonight, obviously. But if y'all want to know my thoughts on it, go watch those 2 videos. One in the heat of the moment and one after the fact. Tyler Heddens in the building. Vontae B, Todd Pope, Zozuki, Montre, Grillmaster, Island Boy, Insane Mob, Pretty No Girl, No Sir Not Me, Cost, Nick, Jeff, Gaming Wizard, Kevin, Mickey Mason, Wolfpack, Williams Wrestling, Momo, Seminole Zach, Category 5, and Todd Pope all in the building, man. Again, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Brandon's in the building as always. Jeff, Matt J, but Jeff comes in strong with the $20 bomb. Well, what I learned Sunday is games don't matter. It pisses me off. I feel bad for the players, the coaches. They all work hard to go undefeated for nothing. For a bunch of clowns in the committee and ESPN. Yeah, Jeff, that's what it looks like, right? Games don't matter. Only the games that they pick to matter. But overall, games don't matter. Appreciate you, Jeff. As always, I appreciate you.
Never, Jeff.
Jonathan says more than the missing out of the playoffs, I'm upset of the blatant disrespect. How I feel is if they forgot about who FSU is, we need to remind them. So Jonathan feels he's just worried about the disrespect. Well, that's not all he's worried about, but he's upset about blatant disrespect that he feels Florida State was given on Sunday. KCS. Been a diehard Noel fan since 5. I'm 38. I was heated yesterday, some today. Knowing it's rigged, I'm calmer today. Beat UGA at their own game. Let me see 3-0 FSU with the dub. I feel it. Donald Grizzly says, remember, What's up, POLK? Remember, FSU is trying to leave the ACC this year before the season started. I think that had something to do with it. Go Noles. I don't disagree with you. I think it has something to do. I don't think it has something to do with that decision. I think it had something to do with the fact that nobody on the ACC has really spoke out on our behalf. Like if this would have happened to an SEC team, which it never would, but hypothetically speaking, if this happens to an SEC, if this happens to Ole Miss, every coach and the commissioner in the SEC would have been on the podium beating the door down. They would have raised hell. And not one the most powerful coach in this conference is Dabo Swinney. Whether you like it or not, he is. Now, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't seen a statement made by Dabo Swinney, a two-time national champion, been the flag bearer for the ACC for the last decade, pretty much, as FSU went through its downward stretch. And he had nothing to say. He had nothing to say. Again, I could be mistaken, and I'm not blaming Dabo. I'm not putting no blame on Dabo. What I am saying is I would love to see, as much as I hate conference homerism, I think it is one of the dumbest things of college football. People that actually root for conference pride, I think is absolutely idiotic. But I would have loved to see some AC. I did see the Virginia Tech coach say something in an interview, but he didn't say anything off the rails. Like I just would love to see the ACC coaches kind of band together and take a stance. Just haven't seen it. I'm gonna let y'all read Pretty No Girl's thoughts right there. Zoe says everyone disrespects us because we have no one at the top with any power. FSU is no different from USF or UCF. Zoe always goes to the extreme. I will say that the decision gives that appearance that FSU is no different than the USF or the UCFs of the world per se. Though I don't agree with this statement. I get the feeling. I get the optics of it. I don't feel no type of way because we undefeated. I'd rather not play Georgia. We not on the strip because if Georgia beats us, they going to be like, that's why FSU ain't no justification. I think that at the end of the day, I think that the committee proved that it's a meaningless game, one. And two, it's not like Georgia's going to be thrilled about playing that game. FSU's not going to be thrilled about playing that game. I think you're going to see a lot of opt-outs of that game. And I think I said in one of the videos, like if I'm Mike Norvell, obviously FSU's not boycotting the game, right? But if I'm Mike Norvell, I don't let Jared Verse, Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, Trey Benson, anybody on this team that's going to get a combine invite and go to the draft and be a first or second round pick, pretty much for all those names. Trey Benson's going to be a second or third round guy because he's going to test extremely well at the combine and he has the look. I wouldn't let any of those guys play. Like I get they might want to play. If I'm Mike Norvell, I'm not allowing you to risk anything playing the Georgia Bulldogs. And I think Georgia's going to do very similar things. I think they're going to opt out. Some guys are going to opt out there. So I'm glad to see Category 5 say this. I know he comes in and trolls from time to time, but it's bigger than us. I want to be clear because I'm seeing a Hurricane fan say this, but it's bigger than Florida State. Because this could have been any team, obviously not in the SEC, because that's what it's about, right? It's about the Big Ten and it's about the SEC. Every school in this championship is either currently in the Big Ten or will be, or currently in the SEC and will be. That's what it's about. As a matter of fact, the only school in the top 15 of the college football playoff ranking is who? Florida State. That's not in the Big Ten or the SEC. So It's bigger than just Florida State. But the committee chose the perfect time to do this because there's no backlash. Well, when I say backlash, they set the precedent that they don't now have to follow up on. Because we'll never have this conversation again because it's going to a 12-team playoff. And I'll tell you this for a fact. No Power 5 conference is ever going to be 12-0. I mean, I thought this previously, but no undefeated Power 5 school ever miss a 12-team playoff. So this conversation, will there be teams that miss the 12-team playoff that we think should be in? Absolutely. There will be teams. But it won't matter as hard because they won't be undefeated. They won't be conference champions. They won't have checked all the boxes per se. They'll have a loss, 2 or 3 losses, and we'll be saying, well, they're better than this 2 or 3 loss team. It's not the same. It's not the same conversation. But I appreciate the comment because again, it's bigger than Florida State. Brandon Bell goes, good evening, Pope. They got what they wanted. 2 SEC it right now with Texas and Bama. Ray 50 asked me, did I hear Prime's comment? I absolutely heard Prime's comment. I heard Dion's comment. This is what I'll say about Dion's comment that he's 100% right about. Dion alluded to it. Stephen A. alluded to it. Shannon Sharp alluded to it. If you listen to any of these guys today, what did they tell you? The dirty, it's not even a secret. The loud, dirty truth that is college football is it's a business. It's entertainment. And that's what the playoff is. And that's what they showed you. Dion said it. They're not leaving Nick Saban out. Now, y'all know how I feel about some of the things that Dion says. And he's a walking contradiction most of the time because if it was the other way around, he said in an interview, oh, I wish I had those problems. No, he doesn't. Because if Deion Sanders had those problems, he'd be on the largest podium screaming to the heavens about how he was wrong. The same way how he said he wishes kids once they committed couldn't visit, and yet his biggest commitments in his coaching career have been with 2 guys that have been previously committed. And one guy in Cromartie McLean that they snuck to Colorado in the middle of the night. That Miami coaches went down there to visit him, and he wasn't even there. He wasn't even in Lakeland when the Miami coaches came to visit him. So he says things, but he doesn't always mean things. Only when they pertain to Colorado does he mean it. So I heard a lot of his comments, but he's 100% on the nail when he says that it's a business, and they were never going to leave a 1-loss Nick Saban team out that beat Kirby Smart. So he's absolutely right there. Stephen A. said the same thing. It's a business. Shannon Sharp said the same thing. It's a business. So as long as it's a business, I'm less upset. I'm more upset at myself than I am. Sitting here today, I'm more upset at myself than I was upset at the committee 24 hours ago. Because it's my fault. It's my fault for being naive enough to think that the committee was put in place to avoid these type of situations. It's my fault believing that the purity of the game mattered. It's my fault for believing that we actually cared about on-field results and not realizing, again, me being naive, thinking that, oh, well, No, that's my fault. I should have understood it was a business a long time ago. Tyler with the $10 dono, my man, he says, I'm mad about the whole thing, but the thing I'm mad about the most is how they blame this all on JT. The committee didn't have the balls to say, great, 100%, 1,000 great point right here. I wish the committee would have just came out, instead of using this criteria that just a year ago didn't make sense. They didn't leave. You do realize that TCU was playing with a backup quarterback last year. Right? Like a lot of things they say, they didn't even meet their own. And that same criteria that they keep putting out there that says they will look at player injury. Why wasn't Michigan ever? You do realize Harbaugh, and in its criteria, it also says coaches and players available. You realize Coach Harbaugh missed 6 games this year because of suspension. And Michigan, that criteria, Michigan doesn't meet the criteria apparently. Ooh, no one. I haven't seen one person mention that. I might be the first person to mention that, from what I've heard. Maybe someone else has. Harbaugh missed 6 games, and somehow they don't take into account that the head football coach wasn't available for 6 games. Oh, but they won their games anyway. Well, so did Florida State. So did Florida State. And again, Michigan didn't look good in beating Iowa. Well, they didn't have their head coach. Well, Florida State had the third string quarterback. So the criteria never made sense. It's a cop out. Blaming and saying, well, without Jordan Travis, they don't belong is a BS argument. We all know that. Just say what you really feel. We want this. It's a better business decision if it's Michigan versus Alabama than it is if it's Michigan versus Florida State. It's just a better business decision. I appreciate the $10 dono, though.
Big as the Super Bowl, but the difference is it's just two guys playing shit that they did in the studio.
Irv Wallace says, "What's good, Polk? I'm finally over it. It is what it is now, but nobody has our back but NFL players. Richard Sherman, Booger, all spoke out. And what is wrong with Paul Feinbaum? He hates us. Paul Feinbaum is paid to push he's paid to push the SEC narrative. So do I think it's like personal for Paul? No. But he gets paid a lot of money from that network to push his narrative. Feinbaum's been pushing that narrative for damn near 2 decades now. So, you know. Am I back? I think I'm back. I got kicked out of my own stream, which is absolutely crazy. I got booted from my own stream. I think I'm back. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I froze, and then I got kicked. So somebody doesn't like what I'm talking about right now. I think I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. Okay. Yeah, I froze, and then I got kicked out of my own stream. So it's actually crazy. It's actually crazy. So I lost the entire chat. So I'll scroll back up in case I missed anything. But I got booted from my own stream. So I don't know how that happened. But I am back. I don't think I missed any super chats. Okay, so it doesn't look like I missed any super chats. So we got Frederick Williams. Let me get to this $4.99 super chat here. That we're back. Polk from a Canes fan. I honestly believe wholeheartedly your nose would have whooped Michigan in that boring ass offense that run. Appreciate that, Frederick. Here's the facts. Whether we beat Michigan or not, I don't know. I felt very good about the Michigan matchup, number one. Number two, give my coach a month to prepare for Michigan. Yeah, I think we would have been fine. I think we would have been absolutely 100% fine. So, yeah, I mean, got robbed. We got robbed. I appreciate the dono, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, more money. Yeah, more money.
Y'all see that? I froze and then they kicked me. They trying to get me out of here, bro. They trying to silence me. Dog. But so yeah, man, I just want you. I wanted to get y'all's thought process on what you saw, because give me 1 second, guys. But yeah, I want to get your thought process on it, because again, man, Florida State fans, this is we're reading we're in uncharted waters, but it was the perfect time, because everything the committee has done up to this point has actually contradicted what they did Sunday. Because they let a Cincinnati in, or you could probably make the case that Cincinnati wasn't the best. They let a TCU in last year. And I wanted Cincinnati in the college football play. Again, the naivete of me, I wanted to see Cincinnati, not because I think Cincinnati is a better team than some of these teams. I want Cincinnati to have the opportunity to say, we can beat these guys. I wanted TCU to have the opportunity to say we can, and they did beat. You know what I'm saying? And TCU did beat Michigan in the first round. But I want those teams to have those opportunities. It's just baffling to me that FSU wasn't afforded the opportunity. So, got the $5 dono here from Melly Mel. He says, we need to get the heck out of the ACC quickly. How soon do you think we get? I don't know. Obviously, this doesn't help any. Obviously, this proves that FSU cannot afford to be. They can't afford to sit by and just stay in the ACC. I mean, but you saw that from FSU's actions early on in the season, when they were very vocal about leaving the conference and shopping themselves around. So they knew they couldn't afford to stay. You know, people say you can't afford to leave. No, you can't afford to stay. And so how long that takes, I don't know. But they were already trying to expedite the process. So if anything, it at least helps with that. But appreciate you, Mel.
Clickety clank, the money goes into my piggy bank.
Right. Well, I think you worded it wrong, but or maybe you worded it right. Cincinnati got in because I would like to say the word earned instead of deserved. When you say something is deserved, it's almost implying is that it's already yours. You deserve it. Like, you know, I like to use the word earned. Cincinnati got in because I feel like on the field, they earned it. The same way I said TCU got in because I feel like on the field, they earned it. Even though they did lose their conference championship. Somehow Florida State didn't earn it. Lorenzo said, we were screwed, but hopefully this is a wake-up call for coaching staff to dominate from the beginning to the end and run the score up like we did. I hear you, Lorenzo. My pushback is that's not feasible all the time. Again, that to me, my problem with this comment is you're feeding into the pageantry of what just happened. It's all about the pageantry. It's not about actual results. You're feeding into the narrative that it's much better to win pretty or lose pretty than it actually is to win ugly. That's my problem with that comment. I'm not coming at you. I just don't like the whole thing of it's not feasible for 2013 FSU don't come around all the time. 2001 Miami don't come around. And that Miami team, by the way, didn't blow out everybody. But 2019 LSU don't come around all the time. Look at the gap between those schools that I just mentioned. Those are rare football teams that come around every decade, once a decade type of teams. More time than not, you're not blowing everybody out on your schedule. So the notion that you have to win pretty to get into the playoff is ridiculous to me. I can't co-sign that narrative. Appreciate the comment, Lorenzo. Thank you. Football's not a beauty pageant. Games are supposed to matter. The end result's supposed to matter. And I agree with this comment. You can't blame anybody on the staff because they went 13-0. They went 13-0. And in that last game was one of, if you want to talk about dominance, against a Louisville team that had averaged 500 yards a game and 33 points a game, one of the most dominating performances defensively I've seen in 20 years from Florida State. Absolutely crushing performance defensively. But that's not impressive because it doesn't put 50 points on the board. So again, let's just call it for what it is. It's insane, isn't it? You're not allowed to win ugly, but if you're Bama and you lose pretty, apparently, good to go. Shout out to Booger. Booger McFarland came to bat. Shout out to Dan Mullen, man. Dan Mullen was killing guys. Shout out to Greeny. A lot of guys. There's a lot of people that are on FSU side here, and they're calling it for what it is. And I spoke about that in one of my videos, Corey. If you want to put this blame on the Jordan Travis injury, touche. He's not, like I said in the video, you're not going to invite him to any postseason awards. You're not inviting him to any postseason awards. 0. No Heisman invite. Don't tell me he's this important player and he won't win a single postseason award. If Florida and Auburn played this season, who would be favored? Probably Florida. I think Florida's a better team than Auburn. Auburn's not. That New Mexico State game was ugly. Ugly. But I already know what you're talking about, because how the hell does Bama not get penalized for that? But everybody's talking about Louisville. The more I talk about it, the more I'm going to get upset again after calming down. But the committee saw fit to have Louisville ranked as a top 15 team, by the way. So it's not like that. Everybody's talking about Louisville was no good. Well, the playoff committee thought differently. They thought they were a top 15 team in the country, by the way. No, sir, not me. Says, what disgusts me is that this is what the young men on our team will remember. Being told they're not good enough by adults who never played a competitive sport in their lives. Xavier says the NCAA should have expanded the playoffs similar to the FCS. Maybe not the same way, but at least put more than 4 teams in. I will say this. When I was never a big proponent of the 4-team playoff, I always wanted an 8. I thought that's what it should have started off with, an 8-team playoff. Because you call it a Power 5, we always knew a team was going to be left out. However, when's the last time you ever saw all 5 Power Conference champions go undefeated? It's never happened. So I never was worried about all 5. I mean, this is probably the closest we ever got. And Georgia didn't get it done. Georgia didn't get it done. And the Big 12 had already dropped the game, right? Because Texas and Oklahoma had already dropped games. I just never thought they would leave a power. You call it the Power Five. I just never thought you'd the undefeated team out of the Power Five out. So RG3 is another one. I think we're still fine. So I keep seeing this recruiting talk, and I disagree with that from the standpoint of, again, yes, you can negatively recruit and say, hey man, I know Florida State had a good season, but even with all that, they in the SC, they in the ACC, they gonna the problem. But the problem with that recruiting pitch is FSU can counter that by saying, well, we're going to 12 man, and that's not going to happen again, and X, Y, and Z. There's plenty of counter to the argument of don't go to an ACC team, whether it's Florida State, Miami, or Clemson, because of what just happened. There's a lot of counters to that. Right. Louisville didn't look like bingo. And this is the last. We'll talk about this a little more before I go on to the transfer portal. But this is another point that Corey brings up that is absolutely true with this first part right here. Honestly, the fix was in before Sunday. Speaking of myself, I was just too blind to see it. And I think a lot of us, maybe some of y'all were calling it. I'll be wholehearted. Some of y'all were saying, man, I disagree, but y'all were like, man, I think Florida State gets left out. And I just thought y'all were being the pessimistic fan, right? But the fix was in well before Sunday. And when you go back in hindsight and you actually look at things, you realize, yeah, the fix was in. The fix was in 3 weeks ago. The fix was in the moment they started talking. The fix was in before Jordan Travis even got hurt. That just gave him a reason, a valid reason by their bylaws. It just gave him a reason. The fix was in 3 weeks ago. They were talking about 3 weeks ago of keeping Florida State out of the college football playoff. They were hoping. That's why everybody picked you to lose to Florida. Everybody picked you to lose to Louisville. But the fix was in. The fix was in. And all they just needed a team to beat. They just needed a team. They just needed somebody to fall. The hope was that Oregon would beat Washington, and then they would have put Oregon in over for us. I'm convinced that the fix was in. I'm convinced of it. And everybody keeps telling me that if Georgia would have won, FSU would have been in. And I'm almost here to say I don't 100% know that at this point. The way Texas blew out Oklahoma State, again, I think fix was in. Even if Georgia wins, I think Texas still might have jumped FSU. Especially if that Georgia-Bama game would have been super competitive, but Georgia wins in the end. I don't know, man. Damn that you penalized them for going 13-0, but don't penalize the team for cheating to get those wins. They didn't even. Hey, preaching to the choir. Look, if you really nice hunk, pause. I think you're trying to. I don't know what you're trying to say there, Anthony. Whoa. Look, if you really. I think you're trying to say if you really think about it. I don't know how you got nice hunk out of that. I'm not even sure what that means, but it sounds provocative. And I'm going to take it as disrespect. So what? No, I'm just playing. But it kind of concerns me. Nice hunk. But anyway, POLK, I think you're trying to say, POLK, if you think about it, 2 Big Ten teams and 2 SEC teams, because Washington, I said that already, Anthony. Shout out to Anthony. But yeah, I mentioned that. Every team that's in the playoff right now is either in the Big Ten or the SEC. Yes. Well, you were right, Vontae. When you saw it, and you were absolutely right. And no, sir, not Messi's man. UGA losing was the worst thing that could have happened to us. That's always going to be a caveat when you have a team like Bama breathing down your necks. FESPN. I mean, I always thought Bama matched up well with Georgia, and I know we argued back and forth on this show a few times about that matchup. I always thought Bama just matched up. I always thought it. Don't you know? And the crazy, what really sucks is that Auburn couldn't finish the job, because if Auburn finishes the job and Bama jumps and Bama beats Georgia still, here we are. We're in then. Because there's no way, right? I'm assuming there's no way a 2-loss Bama team gets the nod, and then the SEC's out, or they would have had a way to justify Georgia. I don't know. FSU was just some zombie team that they couldn't kill, so they changed the rule. They changed the rules. You call them a zombie, I can call them whatever you want. They were an unstoppable force that they tried, and every time they wanted Florida State to lose, they couldn't. I don't disagree with you. But I'm telling you, we do see the spins, though, right? Yeah, probably. I mean, again, I don't disagree with any of you guys. At this point, there's nothing you can convince me that Florida State, no matter what happened, would have stayed in. There's nothing you convince me. So I definitely wanted to give y'all this 45 minutes of or however long it's been to just vet it out. But I do want to get into some transfer portal talk. But Big Kev's got a big comment, so I want to read his. Did you hear what Paul? No, I haven't listened to a lick of anything Paul Fine. I don't listen to Paul Feinbaum because I know he's all propaganda. So you tell me what he said, because I didn't listen to him. But he said, did you hear what Paul the Alabama lover said about Florida State? He said the reason they didn't get in is because it was personal, and that they are trying to leave the ACC. That's why they didn't get in. So he just told you. Paul just told you the truth. Shout out to Paul on that one then, because he just told you the truth. As long as more people get on TV and tell the truth, I'm okay with that. What I have a problem with is the lying. Oh, Jordan Travis got hurt, so we just didn't think. Bullshit. Just tell the truth. You wanted more marquee matchups, you felt like. And frankly, FSU's a bigger brand than Washington, but it was hard to, because they spent all year pumping up Oregon. It was hard for them to leave Washington out, so they couldn't back off of Washington. So we were the easy kill. And I don't want to blame our rivals, but we were the easy kill because of our rivals. Because LSU didn't live up, even though they were 9-3 and they had the Heisman winner. I take that back. I think LSU did enough to make our strength of schedule look strong. Clemson didn't live up to their building. I thought Clemson was going to be a good team this year. Miami, 7-5, didn't live up to what they were with another easy schedule. Miami found ways to lose to Georgia Tech and NC State. And Florida not making a bowl game. None of those teams lived up to any expectation. That hurts us in the end. The names are good enough. Clemson, Miami, Florida, and LSU on one schedule should be good enough. But the teams didn't play up to their potential or whatever. It's all a narrative, bro. I don't even know why Deion's in the conversation. And see, that's the problem I have with what he said. Because I heard people say, well, I don't think he said anything wrong. The only reason he's even getting asked about it is because he's Deion Sanders and he went to Florida State. That's the only reason why he's even asked about it. And see, the problem I have with Deion is I'm not asking Deion to get on a podium and go to war for Florida State. He ain't got to do all of that. But Charles Woodson would never dare say anything about Michigan. I don't care if Charles Woodson was closer than another team. All these other alumni would never dare get on a national broadcast and speak ill. And you can say, well, he didn't speak ill. Well, he didn't speak glowingly of Florida State either. Almost made light of the situation. Man, that's Nick Saban. I wish I had those problems. But if that happened to Deion Sanders in Colorado, he'd want to burn down the college football landscape. it's not hard for Deion to say, man, what happened to Florida State is wrong. And I don't care if it's Nick Saban, this or that. It's wrong. And they deserve to be in that. But he was too prideful and he's too hurt. It has too much of a vendetta against FSU to even say that. And at this point, if you're still defending or still think that Deion doesn't have a vendetta against Florida State, I don't know what else he has to say. He didn't claim Florida State when they say he went there. At this point, I don't know what there's left to say. And I'm not going to spend no more time on Deion. I just don't understand why he was brought up to begin with. And then for people defending everything he does is baffling to me. But I'm done with the Deion conversation for tonight. Well, maybe not for tonight because we got some portal stuff to talk about. So his name will probably come up again. We're going to talk about that. Definitely going to talk about that. He said, I think the last play against Bama was rigged. I don't know if it was rigged, but at this point, you can't get nothing past me. It was ridiculous, though. Am I taking questions? Bro, get in the comment. You see I'm talking. Get in the comment and say what you got to say. Say what you got to say. POLK, I mentioned that earlier in the year about LSU and our top teams in the conference not playing well was going to hurt us. Yeah, it ultimately seems to have came back and bit us. I think Ward might have just a year left, if I'm not mistaken. I think he did 2 years, transferred, did a year. No, was he 2 years at Washington? I don't know. I think Ward only has a year left. We only need Cam Ward for a year to give Brock Glenn another year and Luke Coleman Hulk a freshman, redshirt freshman year. And then after Cam Ward, you can let Brock Glenn and Luke battle it out for the starter. He was interviewed today by one of the guys on, is he from 247 Sports? I think he's from 247 Sports, but he was interviewed today about just a lot of things. Mainly they were talking portal, but they did ask him about FSU situation, and he gave his thoughts on that. I think we take at least, I think they add about 3 or 4 more guys. And then you got to also take into account you might get a decommitment or 2. I think about 25 is probably the number, Ardavius. Give or take 1 or 2. I'll pass on Dylan and DJ. I'm not a big fan of Dylan Gabriel personally, y'all. I've seen a lot of people that want Dylan Gabriel. Cam Ward, 1,000%. DJ, I am not sold on DJ, though I think I'm not 100% against DJ from the standpoint of I think we could use him in a certain way, running and throwing that could make him look a little bit more efficient and effective than he's been used in the past. But I don't want to Dylan Gabriel. I'm just to be honest with you, I don't want Dylan Gabriel. And I know that might not be a popular opinion. I'm good on that though. So let's go ahead and make that transition, y'all. I'm done with the There you go. But I'm done with the. I've said my piece on not transfer portal. I'm sorry. I've said my piece on the committee. At the end of the day, my final thoughts on it, y'all. Again, hit the like button, please. But my final thoughts on the committee is simple. Whatever integrity I thought college football had left and I tweeted this, and so I'll reiterate it here. NIL transfer portal may have killed college football if you feel that way. If the NIL and transfer portal have killed college football, that's fine. With the committee, the precedent they sent yesterday buried it. To now, again, I think college football from this point on is just a sideshow. It's a carnival act. It's just entertainment. It's WWE of sports. Because you can't convince me that, But let's get on to the transfer portal, because I dropped my transfer portal list last night, and I don't know, that might have ruffled a little feathers with some of the guys I had on there. And so let's make that transition to the portal talk. See, DJ is TVD 2.0. That dude is okay. No, he's not TVD 2.0 because DJ, for one, what is he, 6'5", 6'6", 250, and he can run. If he played it for Norvell, again, I don't want DJ, but if they got him, I see a vision there of using that. TVD is a statue. TVD can't move. That's why he stays injured. DJ can run, and you can use DJ in a way almost as a glorified wildcat guy who does have a big arm. So I don't agree with the DJ DVD 2.0. And again, I'm not saying he's great, but if you're telling me, I don't know what the expectation is for next year, but if you're telling me that next year is kind of a more of a transition year as they bring in this big time recruiting class, but they're all still going to be true freshmen, and you bring in what should be a decent portal class on top of just maybe next year's the transition year, and in 2025 is the year you make another run, DJ could be a nice bridge for that. Now, if you think you can win it again next year, I don't know if DJ is the guy you go after. Cam Ward should be the priority. I can see Cam Ward at Ohio State for sure. I think that Jeremiah flip's gonna happen, and I got bad news, and I've been saying it. I don't think it's here. I think them kids are staying home. I think all three of them kids are going to Miami. I'm just gonna say it right now. So, Caveman, Category 5, Zay, good news for y'all. My personal belief, I've been saying it, and I'm just sticking to my guns. I think Jeremiah Smith is gonna stay with his friends at Miami. Tate might. He might. If you get one of those quarterbacks, Tate might, or he might. I think Tate will stay at least till spring. I think, maybe they'll push Tate. I'm upset that I didn't get to see Tate against Louisville, because I promise you, I still think if we had Tate Rodemaker against Louisville, we put up 30 points at least. And I ain't saying Tate's no world beater. He would have been able to complete some forward passes. Granted, Keon would have had to catch them. My only problem with Dante Moore, who I think is a talent, I don't know if that sends the right message to your young quarterbacks. I think the young quarterbacks are okay with you taking a veteran, because most young quarterbacks understand they need a year. Most young quarterbacks understand I got to come in, I'm going to sit a year, and then that next year I'm going to get a chance to really compete. The problem is Dante Moore fits the description of the young quarterback too. He's a freshman. And next year he'll be a sophomore, but he'll be a true sophomore. And I think he fits the more. I don't. If you're taking Dante Moore, then I think you're blowing that whole quarterback thing up. I'm not saying it would scare off Luke, but it has the potential to, and it could have potential to scare off of Brock Glenn, because all those guys are going to be around the same. I'm not against Dante Moore. That's a strategic move that you got to be ready to make. My favorite commenter of the night, as always. This is Christopher Lee Miller. What's up, Florida State Seminoles fans? I'm sorry, fans. The NCAA committee is leaving not one of the best teams in college football. Do I think Mike waits until after signing day to take a QB? If you're targeting Don Moore, then yeah. Because again, I don't know if you want to, I don't know what message that sends to Luke. But I think if you're targeting more of a seasoned guy, I think Luke would understand that, or even Brock Glenn would understand. Hey, now Tate, Tate might just be loyal to Mike. And Tate, again, he was Mike Norvell's first commit. Tate might just be loyal, but again, it's a strategic play, however you play it. Let's get to my portal list. So my portal list, there's already a few names that's off my portal list. AJ Duffy, who though I don't think he's officially announced, we all expect to hit the portal, so that's a check. CJ Campbell did hit the portal today. Dylan Brown Turner did hit the portal today. Preston Daniels, who's actually not on my list, hit the portal today. I feel like I'm missing one. Am I missing one? I feel like I'm missing one. Am I missing one, y'all? Campbell, Biscuit. Biscuit hit the portal today. Biscuit's kind of the first surprise guy. I'm not entirely shocked by Biscuit. I actually thought about putting him on this list. And you can't be entirely surprised by that tight end room because of what they're bringing in the tight end room. I think Biscuit's a little bit of a surprise, though. I think Biscuit is. I felt like he was coming into his own as a blocker and as a pass catcher, and they liked his. I mean, for a guy, I was on the record of really questioning his size at 280 plus, but he don't move like he's 280. I think he's going to be a nice sneaky get for a team. I think he can find a role. I think he's the first surprise. I'm not saying he's a massive loss. But that's Jaheim Bell out of the room now and Biscuit. So, and Preston Daniels. Now, Preston Daniels is a little bit of like, okay. But Jaheim Bell's probably going to the NFL. And Biscuit's gone. That leaves Morlock and Landon Thomas. Jabril Powers. Am I missing somebody there? So I felt like there was a role for Biscuit, but you never know what's being told. Like maybe Jabril Powers is being told, hey, you're going to get the Biscuit role next year. Morlock's definitely going to be the number one guy probably next year. I mean, Landon Thomas is going to come in with a lot of hype and expectation next year. So what do you guys think? Was Biscuit a big surprise for y'all? I think it was a bit of a surprise. But I don't think he's a massive loss, but I do think it's a bit of a surprise. I would love to see it. I just don't believe. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't know how Biscuit regressed. Biscuit didn't in my opinion, I don't see where Biscuit regressed. Now, he might not have taken the step, but he didn't go backwards. You could argue maybe he was a little stagnant. I don't think he regressed, though. You think Biscuit was better than Morlock? I think it was definitely more in tune with the offense than Morlock, for sure. I thought Morlock was really good when given opportunities, though. I mean, Morlock improved so much as a blocker throughout the season, and Morlock had pretty good hands, but Biscuit has pretty good hands. So I don't know there. I don't know there. Courtney better hit that transfer portal. But it's going to be Morlock, Landon Thompson, and Jabril Powers. I do think Bell's gone. So, yeah, I mean, again, I think Biscuit's a little bit of a surprise. Oh, don't forget about Jackson West, who also needs to get off my roster. I don't think Bell's staying, but Bell might stay. I don't think Jaheim had the greatest season. He might want to come back and give it another go. I hope we retain Biscuit. Well, it's always possible. I mean, he hit the portal, but it's always possible he's testing the waters and he can come back. Mike Norvell has shown that once you hit the portal, he will let you come back. I mean, Joshua Farmer last year, so we'll see. Morlock had that bad. I think, they all get bad drops. I thought Morlock was okay. I thought Morlock was pretty good. Morlock gives me Jag vibes. Well, hell, what does Biscuit give you? Big Jag? Just fat, just a guy. A fat, just a guy. No. Biscuit was solid, man, and Morlock was solid. Yeah, I think Fentrell returns. Duffy has not hit, from what I've seen, Duffy did not hit the portal officially, though everybody expects. POLK, we need a veteran backer. No, I think with Campbell leaving, I think you see the writing on the wall there, and that just kind of leads into my my list here. I put Rodney Hill on this list. I figured we lose a running back. I didn't know if it would be C.J. Campbell or Rodney Hill. Actually, I did put Campbell on that list. I think there's a good chance we lose another running back, and I know people didn't like the Rodney Hill pick, but the reason I have him on there, and the reason why I don't think you take a Trayshawn Ward, you recruited the running back position too well. You're bringing in 2 top 150 running backs in Cam Ward and Mekhi Denzi. You had Singleton last year. You still have Keziah Holmes. That's 4. And you think they're just going to push Lawrence to Philly out, or do you think he's going to the draft? That's 5. So Cam Ward, Mekhi Denzi, Singleton, Lawrence Toafili, Keziah Holmes. And I think Cam Ward's going to push for snaps immediately. Now, 6 is a good number. You might get Rodney Hill to stay. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if you lost another running back. FSU did a good job this year playing a lot of backs. We saw Keziah, Rodney, CJ, Trey, and Toafili. All 5 of those running backs got carries. And you still had other guys. So, potentially a guy like Rodney will stick it out. But I don't see the point of, again, I like Trayshawn Ward as much as the next guy, but he should have stayed to begin with, and I don't see the point in bringing him back. Oh, excuse me. Byers gone? No. Where's Byers going to go? Because it damn sure ain't the league. No. Byers is coming back to Florida State. And hopefully Atkins with another year on that dude can get him right. But he ain't nowhere else for him to go. Yeah, if another running back was to leave, I think Hill would be the odd man out. I agree. So I'm not saying, again, so I also want to make a disclaimer. This is not everybody that is going to leave, obviously. That's my kind of prediction. And so I mixed it with guys that I think were all pretty confident leave. And then I mixed it with guys that are surprises. Like, look, Florida State fans, we have to understand something here. FSU's not immune to the surprise. We're not immune to maybe a guy hitting the portal that we don't want to hit. And I was actually being kind with this list because I didn't add Julian Armella because, honestly, I don't think Julian Armella hits the portal. Shout out Julian Armella, by the way. Him doing all that post-game, eating the dub again after Louisville games, Loved it. Loved every minute of it. I can't wait to see this guy get on the field and prove it because I think Julian Armilla is going to be a heck of a football player. So I didn't really put a guy like that on, but I mean, some of the like guys that people don't want to lose, like a Tron, a Quayshawn Sapp, Robert Scott is the name I put on there. I've mentioned Robert Scott before because he can't stay healthy. It might be in the best interest of everybody to just move on from Robert Scott. And he's one of my favorite players on the team. But this isn't about that. This is about healthy attrition. This is the new norm in college football. If you're not letting go, somebody told me that 18 or however many people on this list is a high number. And I disagree. If you're not cycling 18 to 20 guys every year, you're doing the transfer portal and you're doing recruiting wrong in 2023 going forward. The new norm is going to be about 18 guys to 20 guys that you're getting rid of. It's just the norm. So there's going to be some guys that we're going to lose, y'all, that y'all don't want to lose. So just be clear about that. Duffy, they made an announcement, but nothing official on Duffy from what I saw. You trying to tell me Duffy, you trying to tell me that Duffy is got jungle fever? Is that what y'all trying to tell me? So yeah, Bless Harris, unless he gets a medical red shirt or a medical year, like you're saying, Bless Harris is a senior, so he'll be gone. We'll see what happens with that. If that happens, if I'm Florida State, I kind of let that go. But then again, they coach these guys. But if I'm Florida State, it's time to get Julian Armilla on the field. So Bless can kind of go. Sure, if he wanted to, you don't tell a talent like ETN not to come. Is that true? That's not a bad thing for FSU, though. Some of FSU's big time commits next year are all Randy Shannon guys, so I don't know. But that's good for Randy, man. Briggs is a senior, so I don't know what's going to happen with him because COVID year messed everybody up. Like a lot of guys are seniors and they get an extra year. Like last year, I think there was a few players like Meach. Meach had 2 senior years in a row, 2 senior days. I don't know what the deal is with Briggs. My guess is Briggs is gone. What's up with? Okay, let's talk about Sapp. What's up with Sapp on my list? Again, this is a guy who they recruited to be a center. I've heard mixed reviews on Quayshawn. Also, you got to follow some of the tweets. Kids put out cryptic tweets that don't really mean anything, but at the same time, there's talks of some of the, Otto or maybe some other guys that they're targeting, maybe just better than Quayshawn. I mean, again, it's just you're gonna lose some guys that maybe you want to keep. And FSU recruited Dontre Richardson, Quayshawn Sapp, Jalen Early, Julian Armilla, and Kanile Charlton. They recruited 5 O-linemen in that cycle. Everybody's not going to play. Somebody's going to leave. How ready is Lucas Simmons going to be next year? Let's talk about the receiver room. So y'all saw my receiver room. Definitely put Tron and Darian. Darian's a guy at this point very similar to Robert Scott. You keep telling me how great he is every offseason, and every offseason this guy's hurt. might just be in his best interest to try to find somewhere else to have an opportunity. Tron, I like Tron. Problem with Tron is the talent of the room is substantially better. So now you're at a position where, if you're not getting better, you're getting passed up. And I don't think you keep Hakeem Williams off the field next year, if I'm just being honest with you. I don't, barring injury, you don't keep Hakeem Williams off the field. You don't keep Vandrevius Jacobs on the field. Dustin Hill, that's probably your main three guys just coming into next year. That's not counting I think they will add a veteran receiver in the portal. They'll look for another Keon. And then who knows what freshman will be ready to play. I don't think they'll get Jeremiah Smith, but let's say best case scenario, you flip him. You're not keeping him off the field in the first year. So I just think Tron and Darian are two of the guys that might be better served finding different opportunities elsewhere, especially Darian. Can't stay healthy for you. And I think I'm being kind with the two receivers. But you could lose another, though. I think Ja'Kai would. I think they value Ja'Kai Douglas, and I think Ja'Kai has shown how valuable he is. And it's hard for me to say that like a Darius Lawrence would leave. I would love to at least give him an opportunity, and I think they will. I don't think any of the freshman receivers leave. I think Ja'Kai stays, and obviously Joshua Burrell. That's another receiver that. So I think you can at least lose 3 receivers off the bat. Joshua Burrell has never even gotten on the field for you. And then Kentron and Darian Williamson. What's going on, Randy? How are you? Y'all keep Randy in y'all prayers. Jackson is a junior. He'll be a senior next year. So he still has a year of eligibility. If Duffy got some of that FAMU, yeah, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Let's not put Glenn in that category. Bro, 2 weeks ago, I think you were one of the ones that was like, I want to see Glenn because Tate wrote, bro, stop. Let's stop. You can't, I don't know. What did y'all expect Brock Glenn to do on a short notice against the ACC opponent in the championship game? We are so quick to judge players, bro. Wild. I got to see a bigger sample size from Brock Glenn. When half of the fan base was calling for Brock Glenn over Tate Rodemaker just 2 weeks ago. I could agree with you on the other guys. There's a reason why Brock Glenn passed Duffy. I think he can upgrade. You probably want to find another guy for the South Florida area, but we'll see. I think they're going to take 12. At least 12. But I hear you. 7 to 12, I think that's a good number. Not too upset from either. I would be interested to see who they replace Atkins with. Not OC, because I think I know where they're going to go with OC. But offensive line recruiting. An offensive line coach. I would love to see what the thought process would be there. And then Fuller, look, man, I haven't talked bad about Fuller all year. And even, again, I've been on telling y'all about Fuller and until I can't criticize Fuller. But I'm not going to sit here and act like I think the defense played outstanding for him down the stretch, obviously. But there's names out there that you can get, I think. So I wouldn't be upset for any of those guys. And the more success you have, the more coaches eventually get poached. Per 247 guys. Again, I don't think Goldie a hit. And I'm hoping he doesn't. I want to see him. Probably. I think I don't want to say I've switched my stance, but I will say that at this point, it's obvious Glidden needs more development. You don't want to rush a true freshman out there, obviously. And Tate Rodemaker needs somebody to, at a minimum, compete with, even if you believe in them. Goldie Lawrence is a grade problem. Okay. Academics might be a problem for Goldie Lawrence. Hope not, but we'll see. If you bring in Cam Ward, that could change a lot of the. I'll say this. If you bring in Cam Ward, in my opinion, your expectation for next year multiplies times whatever you think expectation is for next year. If you bring in a Cam Ward, your expectations multiply like 10 times 10. I got a question. What's up, bro? Do you believe Mike set the standard too high for next year with us going 13-0? This year, you think he set the standard too high for next year? Someone asked me that question. I don't believe that you can ever. First of all, any coach's job is to win as many games as you can. No, I don't think the standard is set too high for next year for a bunch of reasons. For one, the standard should be whatever it is. Whatever that standard is should be that. And if the standard every year is the ACC or the whatever, but Mike Norvell did his job, and he won every game. And that doesn't mean you go into next year expecting the same, because the smart fan, the logical fan understands that next year's team won't be this year's team. They invested into that 13-0. FSU fully invested, and those players fully expected to go 13-0. They didn't expect it to get the snub. But you don't pay all that money to bring back Trey Benson and bring back Johnny Wilson and go get a Keon Coleman and bring in Jaheim Bell and tell Fabo to come back and tell Verse to come back. Like, they invested in this year for that. So, no, the expectation is not going to be too high. I think people will have unrealistic expectations, but that's what fans do. You've seen it. Fans want us to blow everybody out like the 2013 team. And it's just not, that's not feasible. So there's always going to be unrealistic expectation. But no, Mike did his job. And the expectation will be whatever it is for next year. And quite frankly, you don't know what the expectation is because you have no idea that next year's team is going to look vastly different than what it is right now, obviously. Even what you think it may be. No, it's going to look different than that. Because this portal, again, you're going to add, I like the number, 7 to 12 guys you're going to add in that portal. And FSU's at a point now with the roster and recruiting that they're not just bringing in the Micah Pittmans of the world in the portal. No, they're going to bring in guys. They're going to bring in more Keon Coleman, Jarrett Verse, Jermaine Johnson, guys that are expected and probably will give you immediate impact results. That's going to be the expectation of the guys they're going to bring in. So sometimes I want Popeyes. I get you. Sometimes your opinion changes. I feel you. I'll address the Fitz transfer because that got a lot of people up in arms. I'm not saying I want Fitz to transfer. I'm simply looking at the numbers, and I don't know if people realize this, but FSU has 2 scholarship kickers on the roster right now and a walk-on. And they got another guy committed right now. So you're talking about FSU having 4 kickers on 4 kickers. That's a lot of roster spots for the kicking position. So I wholeheartedly believe somebody to leave. The reason I chose Fitz, not because I don't want Fitz here. I thought Fitz had a great bounce back year compared to the previous year. I think Fitz is the only one that can actually go into the portal and actually garner some attention. That's the only reason why I picked Fitz. Not that I want Fitz to leave. If you told me to guess, I would say, "Oh, okay. If I'm Fitz, maybe I can get the attention. There's teams that need kickers, and I could get a few dollars thrown my way as a kicker in the portal potentially, because all those other guys don't even have a name. That's the only reason why I picked Fitz. And maybe FSU wants to go young with kicker. Hold on a second." I've told y'all that a million times, Briley, and I know you get it, but we always like the shiny new thing, and then you see the new thing, and you go, that new thing ain't ready yet. It's not. Let's put him back on the shelf and wait a little bit. So now we got people wanting to turn on Brock Glenn. Does this tank like recruiting linebackers? Apparently, KJ visited Auburn today. Is that so? I didn't hear that. Interesting. Not going to put much into it, but we'll see what happens. Zoe, I can't do it with you, Zoe. Thank you, ma'am. So y'all this keep the Walter Nolan is a guy that's in the portal right now that I would love for FSU to take a run at. Yeah, I know we're all focusing on the offense right now. But we talking about D-line. That's a name, man. That's a name that I want FSU to get in the mix for. And again, I keep saying it, but the portal ain't even stopped. First of all, let alone stop, the portal ain't even started yet. So there's going to be more names that's going to hit the portal. We already know after the playoff, those teams' names are going to hit the portal. I mean, there's going to be some names out there that are going to hit that. But names that I'm kind of tracking right now is Cam Ward, Walter Nolan, and probably DJ. And the only reason I'm tracking DJ because he's being linked heavy to Florida State. And I don't think they're getting it at event out of nowhere. I think FSU's legitimately interested in DJ Ungale, however the hell you say his name. And again, I wouldn't. He's not my first, second, or third choice DJ. But I wouldn't be pissed if we got him because I see a vision there. I see a way to use DJ and be effective. But I think there's other guys you should target before going the DJ route. But FSU seems to be invested in, or at least interested in that. So we'll see how that one plays out. I'm just checking my Twitter line right now. I'm trying to see if anybody in the portal gotten kind of quiet down the stretch here. Expect it to pick up again tomorrow. I'm just trying to see if anybody knew I hit the portal for the hour and 30 minutes I've been on so far. A must get in the portal. I think it's too early for the wide receiver. There's some decent guys in the portal right now. I don't think there's a guy that FSU's looking at right now. You got to remember, man, FSU's invested a lot of recruiting into that wide receiver room. Look at some of the names that you're bringing in the recruiting trail: the LaWay McCoys, the Elijah Moore, BJ Gibson, who I actually think is extremely underrated, Camden Fryer. So they're bringing in a lot of receivers that are gonna compete. And you brought in a good receiving class last year with Vane Davis Jacobs. Believe it or not, Dustin Hill made it to campus. So he counts in last year's recruiting class. And Hakeem Williams and Goldie Lawrence. I think FSU's going to target big-time receivers. And I don't know if that guy's in the portal right now. Now, Evan Stewart is in the portal. But I don't think he fits Mike Norvell's. I'd be shocked if they targeted Evan Stewart. I don't think he's the type of. And I'm not saying this is a bad guy or anything, but I don't think he's the kind of person they'll target. I hope Evan Stewart finds a good opportunity for him. He will. I mean, he's a talented guy, but I don't think it'll be here. And he's the only guy, talent-wise, that I would say you should go try to get him. But there are some guys. Let's look at some names. Now, you bring up a good point. I'm going to bring up the transfer portal, and I just want to see what's in the portal right now. So bear with me real quick as I bring up the portal and we look at the different positions. Transfer portal. Football. Come on. What are you doing? Oh, it's loading. Of course it's loading. Let's go to receiver. So right now, Walter Nolan's the number one guy in the portal. That's the guy I want. If FSU can get Walter Nolan, please, they should be looking to get that. So let's look. So right now, the top players go Walter Nolan, Aiden Childs, who's basically being linked to Michigan State because his coach went from Oregon State to Michigan State. So that one makes sense. Dante Moore is 3. Cameron Ward is 4. Landon Humphreys is a wide receiver. I don't know how he's 5, but he's going to Georgia. Antoine Wells, Will Howard. I think Will Howard's been linked to Lincoln Riley and USC. Apparently, Lincoln Riley went and personally visited Will Howard. So that's interesting. Riley Leonard's being linked to Notre Dame. You got a guy like Deion Burks, Julian Fleming. I don't think that's worth the take. So let's go to wide receivers, just specifically because there's some wide receivers that I would avoid. And Antoine Wells is interesting. Like, again, I don't know. I don't think there's anybody right now that I'm looking at in the maybe Raleek Brown from a USC just because of a skill set. I mean, unless you guys think of a name, I'm looking and I don't really see a name that if I'm Florida State, I'm holding fast on the receiver position right now. I'm holding fast on receivers right now. What up, Polk No Nation? I'm just checking that. Hey, we've been good today, man. We got the other talk out. We talking transfer portal right now. Yeah, talk to Odell, man. Let's get Walter Nolan on board, please and thank you. Like Peter Shield says, please and thank you. Let's get Walter Nolan on the damn board. I bet we finally get Marvin Jones Jr. I think you might. I'm gonna say something that I don't. I watched Marvin Jones at Georgia in that SEC championship. I don't know if he's struggling with injury or anything, but there's a little bit to be desired there with Marvin Jones Jr. I don't know if he's been developed the right way or being used the right way at Georgia. I'll say that. Yeah, he went into the portal as a lacrosse player. Well, Johnny Wilson. Now they did make the rule where you can play in the Senior Bowl and come back, but Johnny Wilson's going to the NFL, y'all. When you get a chance, I want to give you the 441 on my guy. You know who I'm talking about. But the one I took a visit to FSU, etc. And let's just say he was right. You was right. I can't say much because it's supposed to be a private. Well, I don't know if you got me on any of the social media websites, but you can always DM me. Always DM me. Or you can email me. Matter of fact, I'll put my email in the chat. I think my email is linked to my profile or my YouTube channel, but I'll put the email in the chat. We never should have taken. When I say these things, y'all tell me trust the evals. These things, I'm the mean guy, and I get told, man, you don't know, trust the eval. You know, Eubanks all over again on that one. I mean, anytime you're flipping a kid from North Texas and Texas, A&M, TCU never offered him, yeah. Let's look back at let's go back to the transfer portal. So again, I don't see any receiver, in my opinion, worth a damn. Quarterbacks. I think there's a lot of quarterbacks, man. Brock Vandegrift, Dylan Gabriel, Kyle McCord, Will Rogers, who's actually being linked to Washington, Grayson McCall, of course, DJ. Like, there's a lot of quarterbacks. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think FSU. I don't think. Like, go all in for Cam Ward because I think Cam Ward is that type of talent personally. I really do. I would go all in for Cam Ward. After that, I like Dante Moore too. But again, I think that's you got to be strategic with that one. If that's your target, be a little strategic with that one because he has the opportunity, or he could potentially run a guy or two off. Also, remember when Miami's going to be in this port, you're gonna excuse me, hold on. Also, remember, you're going to be competing with Miami for some of these quarterbacks. Miami's TBD is sitting in the portal right now, and there's still talks that Ja'Cory Brown might hit. You are going to need to be able to compete with Miami for some of these top quarterbacks. Every quarterback that Florida State's linked to, with the exception, I think, of DJ, Miami's linked to as well. So they need Miami has to take a quarterback. Like, Florida State has to take a quarterback depending on what level they're trying to play at next year. Like, there's a good chance FSU says, take Rodemaker's the bridge, and we're going to just play with what we got. Hey, you might not like it, but it's very possible. Miami has to take a quarterback. Miami has to take a quarterback. So just be wary of that. There's tight ends in the portal, nothing worth a note. Let's go to offensive tackle. As of right now, there's definitely no quality offensive tackles in the portal, so no reason to jump into that yet. Wait till some quality guys hit. I'm good on the port on the O lineman. I don't even think there's any quality like interior guys there. D line, the Duke guy. For the edge, of course, Walter Nolan, number one. Then I think there's a big drop off after Nolan. So I think you got to just kind of stick around, wait and see as more big time players will eventually hit on some of these spots. I want the Chris Paul Jr. Apparently he's going to Ole Miss from the crystal ball here. I wish FSU could have gotten the mix on him. He's at the linebacker out of Arkansas. I liked him a lot. I would have liked for FSU to have gotten in on that. Unfortunately, they did not. But they might still watch that linebacker room. And then I don't think there's a DB. I don't think you need to be DB shopping right now. I think you're good on the DBs. So portal's still very early. There's still a bunch of names that are gonna hit. No, that you're talking about damn, any other time I know his name. Rashada. You're talking about Jaden Rashada. Dante Moore is the one who during his recruiting process said he was interested in FSU and FSU wasn't interested in him. He made that claim. I hear you, Zoe. I hear you. So it's not about the defenses. It's about the arm talent. And Cam Ward has arm talent that might be second to none. If you watch Cam Ward play, you know what I'm talking about. The arm talent is for real. Well, we'll see what happens. I would hate to lose KJ, but at this point, man, I am not tripping on recruiting. Pat Surtain has signed a hell of a DB class. So if KJ is that interested in Auburn, I don't know. I don't know how you lose to New Mexico State and KJ wants to go play for that, but I'm pretty sure Auburn's throwing a sizable bag. And I don't blame bags anymore. It's just a part of the game. So if FSU wants them, you gotta pay the same amount. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, what about Max Brown from Florida? Cam Ward is an upgrade. Talent-wise, he is now. He has to put it all together. But I want you to go watch. If you haven't watched Cam Ward, I want you to go watch him. Because you can't name another offensive player on that team at Washington State. Listen to me when I tell you, that kid can play. That kid's legit. You can't name a receiver or a running back on that team. You can't name a skill position guy on that team. You put Cam Ward at Florida State, and it gets nasty. And I'm telling lies if we can pull that off. I don't think we pull it off. I would love for us to. Thank you. And like NK just said, Cam Ward was with inferior talent, and he was. Listen, go watch him if you haven't watched him, and come back to me. Legit NFL arm talent. Cam Ward is an NFL prospect. I'm actually shocked he's in the portal and not trying his hand in the NFL. I got you. I'm going to check it when I get a chance. After I get off here, I'll check you out. Honestly, again, I don't know what team you're going to. Kids are already hitting the portal. So you're not going to have like Marcus and Douglas in that game. Now, you got to wait till kids declared for the draft. I don't think Jarrett Verse plays in that game. And again, if I'm Mike Norvell, I don't even allow Jarrett Verse, Keonco, anybody that's looking to go to the NFL. When I say looking to go, I don't mean anybody that's just looking to go. They have a legit NFL grade. They shouldn't play in that game. I don't know what that game is going to look like for Florida State or Georgia. Both teams are going to have portal guys, NFL guys. That game could be a shell of itself when it's all said and done. So I take no stock in it. I don't care if FSU goes up there and wins by 40 or loses by 40. I don't put anything on it. I don't put anything on the game whatsoever. And he probably can. And I kind of get that because I think the consensus still is 1 and 2, Caleb Williams, Drake May. And then Penix is going to be in the mix. I think it's going to be a very decent portal class. Now, Quentin Ewers is already announced he's coming back, and Cam Ward is obviously coming back. But just those top 3, Bo Nix 4, Jaden Daniels 5. So I think he's making the right choice by coming back because I think when you have a loaded quarterback class in this year, just potential to just come back and like you say, up his stock. Yeah, he is in the portal. If he wants to come over here and play like some tight end, I'm all for that. I'm good on him as a quarterback, though. He's not a bad player per se, and he's an athlete for sure. But I'll pass on that. I'll pass. Just me, though. Tyler says, take the money and take the leg game. Yeah, right. Take the money and just go out there and take knees. Give a 60-minute clinic, 60-minute informational piece on how to take knees and mail it to Mario Cristobal. He'll appreciate it. That's what you should do. Yeah, nobody wants to be there. I agree. It sucks. It sucks. Blame the college football playoff committee for that. I'll pass on KJ, man. Yeah, he's nice is an interesting way to phrase it. He does some things because he's an athlete, but I'll pass. I'll pass. This is a funny one. Y'all want to see a funny picture? Here, let me share this with. I'm gonna share this with y'all real quick. Let me share this with y'all. Wait till it loads, and I'll share this funny picture I just saw. Y'all ready? Here it is. Now, I would watch this bowl. I would watch this bowl game. I would watch this bowl game. This is a good bowl. The Sit Your Ass at Home Bowl. Brought to you by Ashley Furniture Home Store. I'm all for this. This is a good bowl game right here. The Sit Your Ass at Home Bowl. I'm with it. I'm 100% with this game. Shout out to who made this. At White Jalen Rose. Shout out to you. Because this is funny. Bradley says the worst part is that I think the only way we break out of it is the major portal edition before signing day. Need the balance in to do something big and change the narrative. I hear you. I hear you on that. So I think Briley's alluding to, he thinks like the KJ Bolden thing's got him a little worried. He thinks that FSU might not close as strong as we were going to close because the narrative around us due to the playoff committee. Again, I don't totally buy that, but it's going to be interesting to watch. It's going to be interesting to watch how that plays out down the stretch. Is the snub going to affect recruiting? I don't think it will. I hope it does. I think my hope is that kids are my hope is that kids are smarter than that and understand that, but we'll see what happens. We'll see. Absolutely. Absolutely did. FSU and Georgia need to line up and let the offense score on both sides, ending in I hear you. I don't think we closed good. I don't think we closed good as well because it doesn't look like we have any pull. Well, Zoe, I'm not even surprised you say that. Zoe, you don't never think nothing's good until it goes good. So I hear you. I'm taking everything you say at face value, Zoe. I don't care what you say. Yeah, absolutely we did. Is that a good or bad thing? You sound a little shocked with that comment. I don't know if you're happy about that or shocked. But I'm A.O. No knock on Dylan Brown Turner. You can, hope he goes out there and finds a program for him. But no shock there on my face. I've got a real bad feeling that we're in store for another atrocious ending to the year. Call it PTSD or prisoner moment, but a gut punch has me worried. I do too, Grillmaster. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. You think so? Okay, so who are we going to lose to Bama and Georgia? Oh, come on. Let's talk more transfer portal stuff because I can't do this. We're just making up stuff right now. Who is Bama targeting? Who is Georgia targeting on FSU's current recruiting, current commit list right now? Who? If you're worried about KJ, well, to me, sounds like KJ is, if you want to be worried about a team, maybe you'd be worried about Auburn if you're more so worried about KJ. I'm not too worried about anybody, though I do think with KJ, it always felt like the family wanted one thing, he wanted another. Maybe the compensation, like the family wants Georgia, he wants Florida State. Maybe Auburn's they compensate or compromise. I'm trying to say, maybe the compromise is Auburn for whatever reason. So I'm not totally done on KJ. Like I get that. If you want to have a little bit of worry about KJ, and if you've been following that recruitment and you kind of understand different dynamics of it, that makes a little sense to me. Other than that, bro, I don't see it. I do. You're right. I have to stop following Fazal. He does it on purpose. The crazy thing is, I know he's doing it on purpose, but I can't help myself. Like, I have to reply when he does that. But you're absolutely right. Like, I know what he's doing, and I fall for it every time. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. I still think we talked about some of these guys. Again, y'all know me. I've liked Bryson Estes this entire time. But at some point, I think Bryson Estes wants to actually play on the field. And for whatever reason, he can't get on the field. I think Bryson Estes is going to hit Thomas Schrader. And that also has a lot to do with those younger guys finally like maturing and evolving. And Jalen Early should be ready to go. And Dontre Richardson should probably be ready to go next year if he's still around. So Estes and Schrader, and then you still bring him back Keandre next year. Aaron Hester. I talked about Aaron Hester this past offseason. This is a kid that I liked coming out of high school. But he's built like a linebacker, and they have him listed as an edge player. He's like 6'1", 230 pounds. I don't, and I've said it before on Aaron, and I'll say it again, unless you're telling me they can move him to be a stand-up guy, which I don't see. Maybe they're working that. I don't know. I don't see a path for him to get on the field, and it may just be better for him to try to find another place to play. I think Kevin Knowles has burned all his bridges with his performance in this year. The only Only thing I can say on his behalf is, I mean, he was playing safety for the first time, and he's been your nickel back for the most part of his career. So with the DB class you're bringing in, whether you have KJ Bolden or not, you still have a great DB class, and with that class coming in, maybe Knowles, and then Jabril Rawls is another guy that I've pointed out before. I feel like every freshman DB we got some type of burn, whether it was Quindavious Jones, Kirkland, Hussey was in a major part of the rotation by mid-year. We've even seen Edwin Joseph play some. I ain't seen a lick of Jabril Rawls, and he could see the writing on the wall in that room that there probably isn't going to be a lot of opportunities for him. Dylan Brown Turner's already gone. Talked about Burrell already. Talked about Fitzgerald. And so the other big name is Tafasi. Now, here's the thing on Tafasi. I don't want him to hit the portal. Nor do I necessarily think he should. The only reason I put him on the list is there continues to be some type of smoke there. And y'all know me, man, I'm usually a pretty firm believer is where there's smoke, there's usually some sort of fire. Now, that fire don't always ignite. Them embers don't always burst. And sometimes you can settle the fire, or, settle it. But I think that's coming from somewhere. And I think Tafasi is either just not happy in his role. I mean, Tafasi and Daniel Lyons are in the same recruiting class, and we've seen plenty of Daniel Lyons throughout the year. They obviously like Daniel Lyons. They like his growth. They like the steps he's taking. Doesn't seem like Tafasi's making those same steps. He's not getting any burn on the field. And he did reclassify to sign with us, yes. So maybe there's some legit smoke there. He's just not happy in his role. He's been passed up. Hell, I think I've seen KJ Sampson more than I've seen Tafasi, and that's a true freshman. And what do I always say about the portal? Anytime a true freshman starts jumping guys, you can expect those other guys to hit. And I think, Tafasi wouldn't shock me is all I'm trying to really get at. That's all I'm really trying to get at. I think Daryl Jackson will do whatever Joshua Farmer does. That seems to be the mold there. And I think Daryl Jackson will I think Joshua Farmer doesn't, I think he stays, and I don't think he goes pro. So he could test his waters if he really wants to. And Farmer could hit the portal again and try it. I mean, you see what he did last year. And he had a better year this year. So there may be more of a demand for him this year in the portal where he could actually probably make some money. Do not put that past Joshua Farmer, y'all. You saw what happened by the end of the portal last year and what happened. He might not hit in this. He might not hit in this first iteration. After January or whatever the next one is, don't be shocked. I'm not saying Farmer is gone. I'm just saying until next year starts, I got a big question mark on Joshua Farmer because I don't know what he's going to do. And I think Jackson's going to follow him. I think Jackson might follow him. Though I don't think he would transfer with them because I think he'd have to sit again. I don't think Jackson would do that. I think if Farmer was to leave, then I think Jackson would just go pro. So that may be something to that. Yeah, Farmer will probably try to get some extra NIL deal. I mean, again, you saw the way he moved last year. So, like I said, don't be shocked, man, if some guys hit. I didn't put Byron Turner on my list because, honestly, I thought Byron Turner had the year that I think we kind of wanted him to have in terms of it was like, okay, are you either going to get on the field and be productive or you're not? I think Byron Turner was okay. He wasn't a world beater by any means, but he was good enough to get playing time. He was good second, third option next to Gilbert Edmond, in my opinion. And I think he can be the same thing, if not a little better, next year. And he gives Lamont Green an extra year to develop. Because as much I like Lamont Green, but I saw Lamont when I was at the game in person. You got to put a lot of weight on Lamont Green. Lamont Green's got to get some more muscle on him for sure. So I think you keep a Byron Turner around because of that. Because you want to give another offseason workout to Lamont Green and before he's ready to get on the field. So I didn't put Byron Turner on there. And I feel pretty comfortable with that. It will be interesting to see like a Dante Anderson. I think he's a redshirt freshman. I think next year is going to be that the year Byron Turner had this year. I think you might need that out of Dante Anderson next year, where next year might be a make or break for him. Next year might be a make or break for him, where you're going to really want to see Dante Anderson and him emerge or, really kind of cement his place. But you also got Jaden Jones. You're bringing in Blount, who you got to watch that recruitment. People are talking about not finishing strong. Well, you got the KJ rumors, and you still got the Miami rumors with Blount, and maybe he's still entertaining that. So there's some things there. We'll see how it all ends up. The committee ruined Briley, y'all. The committee completely ruined him. He can't do it. He don't want to do it no more. I hear you, Briley. I get it. I think right now I'm 50-50 on it. I would say Jaheim's going, but I also think another year probably doesn't hurt him. So we'll see. Yeah, don't let the committee kill you, man. The hell with the committee. We'll be okay. Don't let a 13-0 season go down the drain because the committee's full of idiots. I think Hester for sure. I would like to see Dante Anderson stay personally. I see a lot of upside with him more so than Aaron Hester. Who do I think is the best man-to-man guy next year? Ooh, I don't know. Probably AZ. I like the way AZ plays. I like the way AZ played for the most part this year. He gets a little grabby at times, but I like AZ, so I'll go with that one. Can Adam Fuller recruit at a high level? Well, it all depends on who you give credit for the current recruiting class. You got the best DB class in the nation right now. Is that an Adam Fuller thing, or are we just solely giving that credit to Patrick Surtain? I mean, I get, Adam Fuller is a safety guy, and he's got KJ Bolden committed. Adam Fuller is pretty integral part of the Charles Lester recruitment if you've watched those interviews, and Adam Fuller's close with that family. So it all depends on who you're trying to give the credit to. If KJ flips, he flips. Yeah, for real. At this point, if KJ flips, he flips. We've been through worse. And I want to repeat, I don't think he flips. But I get it. PTSD, the College Football Playoff Committee doesn't help you at all. So it's, it's what it is. It is what it is. But I'm going to go ahead and get out here, man. We did a good, strong 2 hours. Deuce Span's classification is he's a junior, so he'll be a senior next year. And you're probably right about that, Ahmad. So I might do something Wednesday. As you, it's the off season for us as far as I'm concerned. I really don't plan on like previewing the Georgia game. I can care less about the Orange Bowl, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I mean, if that's something that y'all want to see, let me know, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. But most of the content going forward is the off season for me, so you already know what that means. It's gonna be a lot of recruiting, a lot of transfer portal talk going forward. So, if that's what you're interested in, y'all know, y'all come in here, tune in. But as always, man, I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. Hit that like button on the way out if you didn't hit it on the way in. And as always, it is your boy POLK over here on 6'3 Seminole TV. Stay classy. Don't let the committee ruin what was a perfect, at all intents and purposes, this was a perfect season. It's insane how it ended, but it's a perfect season. And I'm as pissed off as y'all. And every time I sit down and think about it, I get mad. I'm not going to lie to you. Every time. It doesn't help. It doesn't help when you're at work and everybody's coming up to you and saying, man, what happened to y'all sucked. I'm like, yeah, I know. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah. But at the end of the day, you were 13-0. You were 13-0. You checked every box. You did a tough out of conference schedule. You scheduled the LSUs for this reason. At the beginning of the season, they said the winner of LSU and Florida State will have a clear path to the playoff, and they lied to your face. But the portal's kicking in. I think FSU is going to be very active in the portal, and that should be fun. Recruiting's not done, even though it's early signing period is in 2 weeks. Right, I think. So recruiting's coming down to the wire here. Portal's just now getting open. So there's still some things to be excited about, Florida State fans. So don't let the committee steal your joy. But as always, man, like I said before, it is your boy POLK. And we are out here. Go Noles. And I'll see y'all again sometime this week. Don't know when, but stay tuned. We out here.